Thank you. So till now, there have been a lot of discussions on the river Kaveri, about protecting Kaveri, restoring Kaveri, but we are going to be discussing the politics and issues of governance. So I've spoken to all the three panelists before the panel began, and we are going to be talking about governance issues, yes, about how those who voice their concerns about river conservation or stand against mining, extraction, etc., how the state deals with those people. And of course, we will interrogate Kaveri calling. I think we will start with Kaveri calling. Through the day, there have been people who have opined that maybe we can engage with Isha Foundation and Kaveri calling, because end of the day, it is a noble thought. And someone is doing something positive, so why not engage with them? Maybe their solutions are too simplified. You recently wrote an article which was called, "Why is the Kaveri calling?" So do you believe that we should engage at all?
Can I take the stage?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I think I had the question, I think this morning also we discussed with a few of our friends on whether to engage or not. But I will be speaking for myself, why I will not engage, why I will not pay for 42 rupees, and why I would suggest and try to convince you not to pay 42 rupees to plant a tree. I have 10 reasons, 10 minutes, so I'm going to go through it very quickly. The first reason is I don't know who I'm giving to. There's Rally for Rivers, Kaveri Calling, Isha Foundation, Isha Outreach. There's a lot of names out there with one looming figure of Mr. Jaggi Vasudev. So there is this Rally for Rivers draft policy document. That's the only kind of document that is available on the website. That's in 2017, which says copyright Isha Foundation. But when I wrote about this article, and I've been constantly exhorted by extremely polite Swamijis from the Isha Foundation who come and tell me, "Namaskaram sir, can you please come and ask us what you want, any clarifications that you want?" So we wrote to them, and in response I received this email which said that I wanted to draw a distinction between the activities of Isha Foundation, including Isha Yoga Center, which is primarily focused on spiritual work, and the work undertaken by Rally for Rivers, which is independent of the foundation. So, as per this email, Isha Foundation has nothing to do with Rally for Rivers, but there is no registered body called Rally for Rivers, and funds are received, I'm told, by another trust called Isha Outreach. So, I don't know who I'm giving to if I were to give this 42 rupees. Second, I don't know what I'm giving for. The Rally for Rivers document says 1 kilometer along the rivers on either bank, and it argues passionately for how planting trees along 1 kilometer of the river banks would bring back the Kaveri, and it'll be a delightful sight to see. Everybody will be happy. And then comes Kaveri Calling, which I thought might have been an offshoot of the Rally for Rivers. And under that assumption, I went ahead and wrote an article talking about this 803 kilometers of Kaveri and 1 kilometer on each side. I got my math right, 1,600 square kilometers of plantations. And they came back and said, "Nope, you got it wrong. It's not 1 kilometer. We've abandoned that a long time ago. Now it is 1/3 of the agricultural area of Kaveri." So between the Rally for Rivers and that wondrous document of 654 pages, all of a sudden this 1 kilometer thing that they passionately argued for, has been abandoned. And a new concept called 1/3, the magic number of 1/3, I'm told, is to do with getting the 242 crores right, which probably is a mantra number. What is this? What are the dividends of this? Is it water in the river, which is what we were first told? Or is it soil moisture, as we're being talked about, as we're being told now, or chemistry, or farm income, which is being repeated quite frequently now? The third reason is that the science is not quite right, and I will not go into that because I've had people who are far more qualified like Jagdish, Mihir Shah, Srinivas and Suprabha talk about that. The fourth is the math is not right, and for this to be actually done by me is a bit humbling because my math is not very good, Now he says 242 crore trees over 1/3 of the Kaveri Basin. The Kaveri Basin is 80,000 square kilometers. A third of that is 24,200 square kilometers. And that would then translate to about 400 trees per acre of the Kaveri Basin. Now 400 trees per acre in the place where it stands, which amounts to roughly about, at 400 trees, that's about 100 trees more than the densest Amazon canopy. So the Amazon forest has a canopy cover of 160 to 300 trees per acre, and the magic that we will be doing on the dry and arid plains of Tamil Nadu is to create something that's far more wondrous than the Amazon. Now let's leave that aside because the goalpost can keep changing. Let's assume that we were to cover all of Tamil Nadu's, the Kaveri Basin's agricultural area, which is 53,376 square kilometers. That would still keep us at 182, which is above the lower limit of the Amazon canopy. If I throw in the forested areas, which is about 16,600 plus square kilometers, then I would still be left with a tree density of 140 trees per acre, including in places which are already densely forested, which means I have to go there and pluck out some of those trees and then plant these trees that have been grown with tremendous energy, commitment, and passion. The math does not add up. The fifth is verifiability. There's no document called Kaveri Calling. The only thing that we have to rely on is YouTube videos, and which has Mr. Vasudev's discourses, and Isha blogs that are delightfully vague. And when we ask them for clarification, I asked them for a clarification specifically on the issue of approval of their buildings, and this is the clarification I got. Most of the Swamis who are involved in the approval process are in silence until this upcoming Paurnami, which is on the 12th. So any detailed answers or documents that you're seeking will have to wait until they come out of silence. This is 12th of October. Accountability is the other issue. Rally for Rivers is not Isha Foundation. I don't know if Kaveri Calling is Rally for Rivers, but there's a plan to raise 10,000 crores. Who are we giving it to? And who is the board? The board, according to the Isha blog and their responses, has eminent people like...
But the board is only for Rally for Rivers.
Sorry?
The board is only for Rally for Rivers.
Yeah, but it's for everything and anything, depending on who you ask and when you ask them. So the board, this advisory board is for Rally for Rivers, but has also been responded, they also responded to us saying it's also for Kaveri Calling, and the money will be managed by them. That's Biocon's Kiran Mazumdar, former water secretary. Unfortunately, he is not able to make it today, and Worldwide Fund for Nature's chief, etc. Now, I don't know if these people know how the money is to be used. We have done the mathematics on the 242 crores and how it translates to, treeing all of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The other issue in this also is that if I were to push out an initial public offering in the stock market, I would need to bring out a prospectus which outlines the risks and the benefits and the conditions under which the benefits could be had. No such exercise has been done for this, which is a monumental attempt to raise 10,000 crores. And another thing that a friend of mine, Piyush, brought to my notice was that in the event of the Gaja cyclone, there were numerous trees that went down, and the farmers have still not been compensated. The insurance is in a mess. And so here we have a situation where we're actually asking farmers to go into tree cropping and wait for 12 years, and the consequences of a cyclone cannot be ruled out. And we don't have any answer to that issue. The seventh is the issue of false solutions. I work a lot with young people, trying to de-educate them from all the schooling that they've had, the 16, 17 years of victimization in institutional educational institutions. And one of the things that we're trying to tell them is to think and not follow, and to understand the issues in a complicated way and not to look at it in a simplistic way. And here the exact reverse is being told: don't think, follow. And here's a simple way to solve Kaveri's problem. This is what Mr. Vasudev has to say in one of the promotional videos. We want to convert 1/3 of the Kaveri Basin into agroforestry. If you do this, the 46% depletion that has happened in the river waters will come back, river will flow once again, farmers will be rich and well-to-do. 8, the track record of Isha Foundation. And again, this involves some mathematics and some amount of legal research, which is easily done because Siva has done most of it. And Isha Foundation is sitting on 150 acres at the foothills of the Velingiri. a very valuable space in terms of, if your interest is the river, then you buy that 150 acres and leave it alone, like the tribal elders in Vellingri said, advised. When March 2017, Modi ji, since my friends also talked about Modi ji, I felt obliged to bring in Modi ji into the conversation. Modi ji visited Coimbatore and he visited the Adiyogi, the inauguration of the Adiyogi statue and the inauguration of the parking lot, which I think he must have inaugurated with a large cavalcade of cars. This parking lot and the Adiyogi statue covers 42 acres of wetland. And this 42 acres of wetland are now being converted into one large statue and paved surface. The Forest Department has raised objections about the Isha Center, where they talked about interference with wildlife. They talked about the fact that the devotion of the Adiyogi devotees during Mahashivaratri is disturbing Mr. Shiva's son, Lord Ganesha, the elephant, because that's a place where the elephant moves and causing tremendous conflicts between man and animal in that area, human and animal in that area. These buildings are without permission. Lock and seal notices have been served. Demolition notices have been served. But all those structures still stand. The laws that they have violated and are still in violation of include the Water Act, Air Act, Town and Country Planning Act, Hill Area Conservation Authority Government Order, Environmental Impact Assessment Notification. It is illegal, but the structures stand, which means that it is only possible with a perversion of democracy. And that is one of the reasons why I don't think they're worth engaging with. 9, the company he keeps, not good. ONGC, one of the big sponsors, has already been talked about. They have close to 800 wells in Kaveri Delta. Like the Isha Foundation, not one has a license. And Mr. Modi, Mr. EPS, Mr. OPS, all of them have visited these places, have graced the stage along with Mr. Vasudev, and that also indicates the kind of a very scant regard for the rule of law that the company that Mr. Vasudev keeps have. And finally, the politics is not right. The politics is all about big farmers and large corporations. As one of the speakers earlier said, 60% of the delta is landless people. They have to till the land, and labor-intensive crops are best. And here we're talking about tree farming and agroforestry, and that perspective has not been looked at all about this. And finally, in this politics is not right, I also find that Mr. Vasudev chooses an environmentalism of convenience. He does not want to rock the boat, and any solution that does not rock this perverse boat is not worth having. Thank you.
So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, considering there is no representative from Isha Foundation who were invited, but they haven't come. So my question is to Mr. Henry Tiffany, the 10 points which Nityanand gave. I mean, you all can sit and criticize Isha Foundation how much ever you want. I'm saying from their press release, which they gave a few days ago after Leo Saldana and the others wrote to Leonardo DiCaprio against his Instagram post. So what Isha Foundation is saying that we have credibility. Niti Aayog, the Prime Minister's office, Karnataka government, Tamil Nadu government, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, all these governments are engaging with us. And the Planning Commission is engaging with them is what they're saying. So they have credibility is what they're saying, and so why should people not engage with them? And question to you also, Mr. Jairam, is that why do organizations like this get trusted immediately by people? Is that also because at one point we are not questioning our governments? Like, why did the government fail to look after the interests of the Kaveri River, and why is the government not continuously doing it? And we are now happy and positive that some other organization will do it on the government's behalf. So, Mr. Henry.
Well, thank you, Danya. I basically came here to participate in today's program representing Human Rights Defenders Alert, a national platform of human rights defenders who stand with defenders in difficult circumstances across the country. And when this opposition to Kaveri calling was made and the response was received, we thought it is important to express, although we are not directly involved in the type of work that most of you are engaged, that we should be standing in solidarity with all these activists who are raising their voice. So that's why I came, and from morning till now it has been a time which has been extremely engaging, very appreciative of people who have been working at the grassroots on these issues and sending us one message: keep away from the Kaveri and things will be okay. Keep away from extraction and things will be okay. Now coming to Isha Foundation, let's come straight to Jaggi and his foundation. He is a criminal offender. Let us call him by how he needs to be called. He is a criminal offender. There are cases which are pending. There are governments which are supporting him. There are governments in the state which are supporting him. There are governments in the center which are supporting him. There are different ministries which are supporting him. There are retired judges of the High Court who have appealed why Modi ji should not have gone there in 2017. And in spite of the lock and seal order and the demolishing order, several writ petitions are pending before the High Court. I am surprised at the silence of the High Court and the speed by which the High Court is handling this matter. This is extremely clear that there is a conspiracy here between the judiciary, a conspiracy with this government of India, and a conspiracy with the state government, and all this is linked through religion which is being used, and that is extremely clear for the last 3-4 years. There has been repression on all issues that were spoken from morning till now, on issues directly related to Kaveri, on issues related to extraction. There has been repression after repression. Our freedom of association, our freedom of expression, our freedom to dissent, and our freedom to assemble has been completely done away with. We have people right in this hall. There are thousands elsewhere who are facing a variety of cases in different courts, including sedition, for the protests that have taken place in relation to all what was discussed from morning till now. And I think it's important for us to understand that whether it is the session on culture that we had, very beautiful, intense session on culture that we had, or the session earlier when our colleagues from Kerala were there expressing what should be done, etc., or when the economists and the scientists were speaking on the environment were speaking, all of them here today, all the panel speakers from morning till afternoon are human rights defenders. Whether they speak about human rights, whether they full-time engage in human rights or not, they are all human rights defenders, and any attack on any of them, wherever it takes place, is an attack on human rights defenders. And that, I think, is something that we should take in fully to ourselves. And therefore, this whole question of let us organize a people's movement, there is a people's movement called Kaveri Calling, is not something that I would like to be party to, or I would appeal to people to be party to. I think people, the so-called people's movement for Kaveri Calling has been qualified what it is by what Niti said. And I think on the alternative, what needs to be done is, while appreciating ACJ for this beautiful effort that they have taken together with Saldana and others, to ensure that what takes place in the corridors of this prestigious institution is transferred to the streets of the Kaveri Delta. I think that is what we need to do. And I think many people like us need to carry on and take all that took place from morning till evening today into the Kaveri Delta with the farmers, with a number of migrant workers who are there in different states because of having to leave their villages across the Kaveri. It is they who need to form a people's movement against this fraud called people's Kaveri Calling.
Jairam, do you want to answer the question which I asked about the fact that when movements like this come and it becomes very simple for a citizen to support the movement and think, hey, something positive is happening, let me contribute 42 rupees for a tree, it's my contribution to making the world better. But in that simple solution, are we missing the fact that we are not holding governments accountable, and instead we are letting governments support these kind of initiatives?
Yeah, I can relate to this whole idea of positivity. I mean, quite a few times there are people coming to our office at Arapur telling us that, why don't you do some positive things? Why are you always questioning the government? Why are you doing all these things? Why don't you do some positive thing? And it will be, recently one CEO said that, right? And then when you again question the CEO, so what do you do at your company, right? So what happens if someone comes 10 minutes late? You make sure that half a day salary is cut, right? I felt like asking the CEO, why don't you go and plant a tree? If your employee comes late, go and plant a tree, right? Because for them, that's not, when it comes to their company, they want accountability. They want accountability from their employees. But for us, as citizens, we pay our tax money to the government. It's this government which is responsible for maintaining the Kaveri, and we have seen there are plenty of issues. There is so many complex issues, and today the reason why as Isha says that a lot of these governments comes and supports them, it's because it suits them. It suits them very well because you are not questioning all the illegalities and all the corruption that is happening that is responsible for this kind of situation that we see in Kaveri today. I mean, look at the issue of sand mining that that we are seeing in Kaveri. How many people have died because of fighting sand mining in Kaveri? And it is such a big issue. So what we are seeing today is simplifying the whole complex problem of Kaveri into some tree planting. This is very, very dangerous. This is very, very dangerous because, if we are not going to question the government for the illegal sand mining that is happening, I mean, the way it happens, we must look at, on one side, people are saying how the level of Kaveri has gone down. You should see that now water doesn't go to the far end of the villages because the height of the channel is much, much more. It can't even flow. And we saw Mukambu breaking down. Our Chief Minister gave an answer. It has fever. Right? Mukambu has fever. We know it's because of the sand mining that's happening. So this is the kind of situation, and I have done farming myself near the Kaveri, at the Kaveri bed, where we have very clearly seen, when this whole sand mining happens, it's very clear the water level goes down tremendously. The water level goes down tremendously to the surrounding villages, and all the farmers even using borewells can't operate. So that is the kind of situation, and you should never get into these, one of the lorries that carries this sand. One time I got into one of these lorries, and that guy was driving so fast. I asked him, why are you driving so fast? What will happen if you hit someone? So he gave me an answer. He said, no, last month only I hit someone and someone died. So what did you do? I got down and I ran straight to the police station. I mean, why did you run to the police station? No, that's what we are instructed, because the police inspector is on our payroll. We are thinking that the police inspector is on our payroll, on the citizens' payroll. But here we are seeing that, so we have to understand that the last 20 years, 10 years have been completely ruled by R. Mugasamy, and who is close to the chief ministers who have ruled us. When Kodanad estate was raided, we saw R. Mugasamy was raided. Last few years we have been talking about Shekhar Reddy, who has been doing so much of sand mining. He is saying that the money recovered, that was earned from sand. So where did all this sand come from? So we need to understand these issues of sand mining. In 2012, when water was not there, more than 18 farmers committed suicide. And I had visited each of these families. We brought out a very detailed report on what led to the suicides of these families. And it was extremely clear that, it was not big things. These people did not have loans more than 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs at the maximum. Think about people who are doing farming for 15 to 20 years and they are not even able to pay back a loan of 50,000 or 1 lakh. This is the kind of situation. You don't have credit structure. You have a big water problem because of the sand mining issues that are going on, for the pollution issue, the kind of water quality that we have today. I mean, I think many people spoke about the pollution issue. So unless we question it, what happens when you question? We went and questioned. So there is this Soringalallur lake. So we went and asked, why is a police station being built on a Soringalallur lake? A police station is coming on Tamarikeni lake. We went and asked this. I just spoke a YouTube video on Tamarikeni lake. This was on 10th July. On 13th July, I had a FIR on me for auditing a lake, for which I didn't go. Okay. On 15th, I had an FIR on me for, talking about this police station that was on the lake. And on 19th, I had a case on me It was a very interesting case because we organized this Know Your Rights program. So we booked a hall, police went in, threatened the hall owner and cancelled the program. They gave a letter to the hall owner, cancelling it. And subsequently, 2 days later, they filed an FIR on me that I have cheated the public by not organizing the Know Your Rights. So this is the kind of innovative way, this is the kind of repression that's happening. 3 FIRs in a week just because we question an encroachment of a police station on our lake. So we must understand that Kaveri issues and all this are complex problems and solutions are difficult. And unless we stand as journalists, future journalists, people will tell you to do easy things, to do positive things. But it is important that you do the right things. So doing the right thing and positive thing is very different. And therefore, it's extremely important, I think, that we must make our governments accountable. And of course, as Nitish said, there is a lot of opaqueness. There is absolutely no transparency in what these people are doing. And we must question them as well.
Okay, thank you. So there's a reason why you should not be in one of the last panels, because you have to keep to time. So we have just 10 more minutes left. I'm going to quickly ask a few questions, but short answers. After listening to what Henry and Jairam had to say, I'm again going to ask you on behalf of the supporters of the Isha Foundation, because I've realized that messages that Jaggi Vasudev gives are very simple. They're very simple, lovable messages on YouTube and Facebook, which everybody thinks they can identify with. So the problem here is, a lot of people, the moment you criticize something like this, they will first ask you, why are you not doing anything? It's a start, right? Planting trees. There's nothing wrong with planting trees. That's the first thing they ask. The second thing they ask you is that, then, why are you always bringing signs and all the negativity into it? This is the truth. And did you read an article recently which said India goes from exporter of coal to importer of coal? This whole notion that the moment you say no to something, of copper, sorry, that you become anti-development, you're against the nation progressing, therefore an anti-national.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a very trite kind of a remark when I was growing up. It said, something is better than nothing and nothing is better than nonsense. So just because something has to be done, you don't do nonsense. Here, you want to feel good, then think a little bit deeper about it. I'm not anti-tree planting. I'm just anti-giving rupees 42 to a place that is not accountable. So go ahead and plant a tree, plant some bushes, plant some thorny scrub as well. And these are good things to do. Speak to people like Jagdish and go ahead and do that. The idea is that you outsource your responsibility by giving 42 rupees and then question people who are asking you to be more responsible. That is not a very smart way to go. Unfortunately or fortunately, most of these people are young people. They will be alive to see whether Jaggi's promises are true or not. It's going to take in 12 years, we're supposed to see the Kaveri flow. We wait for 12 years. I will not uproot a single tree that's been planted by Mr. Vasudev, and Piyush tells me nothing will be planted. So we will see in 12 years' time whether the water is flowing in the Kaveri.
And going back to this whole theme that if you are going to question hydrocarbon projects, if you question new highways going to build, or even the Sterlite in Thoothukudi, then you become anti-development. How difficult has it become for anyone, especially in Tamil Nadu, to question issues relating to conservation of whether it's a lake or it's a delta, whatever it is? Yes, and Henry.
Yes, to answer it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think this word of anti-development and urban Naxal and everything, it's been used quite a few times, and so right now people do not attach a lot of importance to it. I think we do understand what does, I mean, if you don't earn a name anti-national, then there is something wrong with you. Okay, so therefore, I think we need to, there is definitely on the other side, there is a lot of responsibility on us as well to communicate the problems in a very simple way as well. And, and many times people who are fighting on the ground, they have absolutely no ways of that getting communicated to the top. See, this whole development paradigm that we have been talking about has always been top down, and unless we change this bottom up in a big way, right? And ultimately it requires quite a bit of vision, political will for that to be changed. We are not saying it. The one question that we ask commonly, how many of you believe that your MLA or your MP, wherever you are from, is working for the issue of the people? How many of you believe? Here. How many of you believe your MLA or your MP is working for your interest, the public's interest in your constituency? No one? One? Okay. So, we are a representative democracy. And we elect our MLAs, we elect our MPs, we elect our councillors because they will work for us. But we see that we do not have any belief today in this democracy. This is the situation. This is the grave situation we are in. So, the only way to make this representative democracy work is by large number of citizens participating in this, questioning the government, engaging with the government, asking the tough questions. So, unless we make our MLAs and MPs work for the people, things are not going to change. And of course, they will hit you back with all these anti-national and urban Naxal and all that. We should just not care about it. It's for the people. People's issues are much more, important. And what we need to keep in mind is that be it methane issue, be it hydrocarbon or anywhere, what we are seeing is that the people's opinion doesn't matter today. Unless we make people's opinion matter, unless we become the voice of the voiceless, things are not going to change. So we need to have a lot more people getting engaged in this process, communicate this in a simpler way as well, and that's our responsibility, I think.
Okay, I want to come to Henry. Finally, maybe we can take one question from the audience. Okay, fine. My question to you is, you have been working for as a human rights defender for many, many years now. How do you see the judiciary behaving now? We have been speaking about democracy, about people, about governments and civil society, and organizations like Isha Foundation. How do you look at how the judiciary has been behaving?
I've come here from Delhi. Yesterday, exactly at this time, I was sitting with, I'm saying it openly because I find that there is no media here. So you can speak the truth straight. It doesn't matter, let it go live. It needs to go live. The country needs to know. That is what the products of ACJ will always like to do later in life. You say no. Most of them are being forced to do that. Yesterday I was sitting with two other colleagues, with a former Chief Justice of India, who happens to be the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, trying to pursue with him a complaint that had been preferred about what's happening in Kashmir, not on Article 370, that is before court, but in terms of what is happening to people. A complaint that was given on the 30th of August. On the 5th of September, the National Human Rights Commission had given a notice to the then authorities in Jammu and Kashmir to respond within 4 weeks. The 4 weeks were over. The responses have not yet come. And we had asked for the NHRC to constitute its own team, not only with members of the Commission, but also incorporate members from civil society whom they place trust in, and go to Jammu and Kashmir and meet people and listen to people. You are asking me what I feel about the judiciary. You know the response we got, and that is what I want to make public. I will have to go to the Supreme Court of India. Nobody here in the hall will believe what I'm saying. I will have to go to the Supreme Court of India, Mr. Tiffany, to get permission to go to Jammu and Kashmir, is the response of the chair of the National Human Rights Commission. And I think this is exactly what needs to be made public. You were asking questions about the MLAs and the MPs, nobody raised their hands. You asked them how many of them trust the judiciary at the highest level in this country. It took 9 years for the Supreme Court to accept that the CJI is within the ambit of the RTI, and that too on the last day before he left office.
You can ask this question, what he said.
How many of you trust the judiciary
many of you trust
at the
the
highest level in this country?
1, 2.
A little more than when you answered. It's very sad. And therefore I want to start saying it is time we start questioning the judiciary in this country. We have all conveniently targeted different sections of society, elected leaders, which we should continuously do. But I think we should also pick up courage to start putting pressure on the judiciary, on institutions for justice, on access to justice, etc. Because these are the people to deliver. Here is a criminal with offences, and there are judges sitting, everybody knows it. They have suo motu powers. When they want to take a matter suo motu, they know how to do it. They come, they prepare their presentation and they say, we are taking this matter suo motu. Why are they not targeting somebody of this sort? And if we allow this, we are also party to this whole question of religion permeating various spheres of life that we are all talking about, including the judiciary. Including the judiciary. And therefore, an outcome of this, and this is the next session, but an outcome of this session should definitely be, can we, participants at this program, represented by some of the best minds in this part of the country, go to the High Court here in Madras with a good public interest litigation, with the amount of materials that were generated out of this program. I think we are not bothered about the outcome, but they need to be challenged. We need to occupy those spaces, and that is the pressure we will be putting on the system. And there are a number of lawyers who are willing to do that. And he has a number of them who are defending him all these years.
Okay,
I think we need to do that.
We'll just take one question. I think we have run out of time completely. Anyone has a question? No? We can take it in the next session. Okay, sure. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the insights on Kaveri calling and issues with governance.